Let me know when it's ready. It's good. Rabotai, Baruch Hashem, everyone is here. Moshe Malka, B'shut Rav. I would like to welcome everyone tonight to a special shiur that will be given by Rabbi Moshe Malka. He is a Talmud Chacham of his own, Baruch Hashem, Rav of Kahala Ohel Yaakov in Deal, New Jersey. And as Yosef Chaim and many know, I know Rabbi Moshe Malka doesn't like too much shevach, but k'tzat shivcho sometimes is important for people to take it seriously. He is, of course, a renowned speaker on Torah Anytime. In many other places he speaks, he's mechazik. I personally watch his videos. I enjoy it very much. You know, everybody clicks and connects to different speakers. He's one of the speakers that I connect to, so I'm delighted and very privileged to have him in our community to speak. I have to mention that I didn't know this, but Yosef Chaim mentioned that one of his Talmidim was none other than someone from our own community, Yossi Tzchakov. Yossi Tzchakov, I haven't kept in touch with him for years, but we grew up in Borough Park together with many of our other friends who were the same age. And Baruch Hashem, he was zochet to be a Talmud of Moshe Malka, and was zochet to also have his help to rebuild this beautiful shul, Baruch Hashem. It was a great honor, so we thank him as well for that. And finally, of course, I'd like to thank Yosef Chaim Aminov for arranging this event to happen. You know, he mamish went out of his way. He got valet parking even. The downstairs is full with food, sushi and fish and even a l'chaim. Everything, Baruch Hashem. So everything to make it comfortable for everybody, Baruch Hashem. And so we thank you very much for that. With that, I'd like to ask Rabbi Moshe Malka to give us the Divrei Chizuk. And again, thank you very much for being here.
How long do they expect?
Whatever the Rav is going to do.
What's the usual?
20 minutes.
Erev Tov, good evening. Reshut Kvod Marad Atra, with the permission of the great Rabbi Haimov, Yosef Chaim. He doesn't take no for an answer. Yosef Chaim, Chazak. Tonight Yosef Chaim Yosef David Azulai, the Yortzeit, the same name. Hashem give you Yarechut Yamim, Hatzacha, Refuah Shlema, Yosef Chaim ben Larit Leah, Larissa Leah, Bat Osnat, Yura ben Sarah, Yaakov ben Adina Rosa, Moshe ben Kohava, easy birth for Sharona, Bat Liza, Hatzlicha Midot Tovot, Elel ben Yosef, Chaim ben Yelel bat Sharona, Leilui Nishmat Gabriel ben Mazal, Yosef Yeska ben Malka. We thank all those who helped make this evening possible. This coming Thursday evening, Am Yisrael is going to celebrate Chag Purim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself comes down to see you while you're reading the Megillah, and gives you tremendous blessing of good health, of long life and parnasah. And we know that the story of Purim takes place right in between the first and second Bet HaMikdash. If you know Jewish history, it begins 5,785 years ago. Adam HaRishon till Noah is around 1,000 years. Noah was born 1056. And then the flood takes place in the year 1656. And then we know Abraham Avinu was born 1948. Yitzchak, he was 100, 2048. Yaakov, when he was 60 years old, it's 2108. Everything in the Torah is recorded. And the Jewish people came down to Mitzrayim. It says Yaakov was 130 years old. So we know 2238, the Jews entered Egypt. And then 210 years, 2448, Pesach time, like now, April coming, Nisan, the Jewish people have Yetziat Mitzrayim. Remember how many years they were in the Midbar? 40 years, 2488, they come into Eretz Yisrael. And now, from the year 2500 until 2900, 400 years of Shoftim, like Ehud ben Gera, Shamgar, Yoshua ben Nun the first, Otniel. There was a woman, remember a woman who shofeted Yisrael? Devorah HaNeviah. And then came the great Shimshon HaGibor, 2700, the story of Ruth and Boaz, 28. And now comes David HaMelech, and his son Shlomo builds the Bet HaMikdash in the year 2928. And the last 420 years, many Melachim and kings from Shlomo, from the side of Israel, until the year 3338. That is the story of Tisha B'Av. And Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babel, takes the people out, down to Babylonia. And who went with them? Mordechai and Esther. Esther was a little girl. She went with Mordechai, Im HaGola Asher Hogleta, the Pasuk says in the Megillah. And for 70 years, the Jewish people were in Babel, and there was a prophecy that the Jews are going to go back to Eretz Israel. However, they miscalculated. Belshazzar, Nebuchadnezzar, Evil-Merodach, they calculated from when the first Jews came 19 years earlier. They calculated, and now they thought the Jews are never going back. Look, 70 years passed from the wrong calculation, and they made a big party. And they said the Jews are never going back. Ahashverosh made the same mistake, makes a big party, and part of the reason why he made that party was to seduce the Jews to stay, assimilate, and eventually Hashem will forget about them. They'll never go back because they were afraid that if the Jewish people go back and build the Beit HaMikdash, that's the end of the Persian Empire. Jewish people were in control, you see, from the year when they came in, 2500 under the Shoftim, till 3338. That's almost 900 years. Ahasuerus is in business only 3 years. It's very easy to remove him. So Haman advises him, make this party, seduce the Jews to come, and they'll begin kosher, look nice. What does Mordechai say? Don't go. Do not go to that party, but most people don't listen to him. Because it was very tempting. And it wasn't just a party, there was a political reason. Imagine Mr. Trump comes to Borough Park. It's possible. And he comes to this community here. He says, I want to meet the rabbi. I want to meet all the businessmen. I want them to come. We're going to make a big party in a hotel. Kosher food. We'll have music. And we're going to meet governors. You're going to meet all the different ministers. You're going to meet senators. And you'll bring your wives. We'll have a mechitza. I think I will go, no? Mr. Musk is going to come. He wants to invest $5 billion in Borough Park and Bukhari and Shul over here. And why not? We would go. All of a sudden, they get a phone call from a Sadiq in Yerushalayim, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, geht nicht to the party. Imagine, Chamabadia, el telech. What did the rabbis tell him? It's different. America is different than Israel. You know, it's also the Rabbi Hazi, maybe he's 90 already. Maybe he doesn't understand. You see how people start to rationalize? And they said, it's very good to go. It's important to meet ministers. And sure enough, they went, they ate, they drank, nehenu. While Ahashverosh wore the choshen, kelim shonim, they were drinking from the cups of Beit HaMikdash. How could it be? And eventually, what was the talk? My wife is better than your wife. Vashti was about to do something very improper, immodest. Can you imagine the whole place? And the Jewish people were in big trouble, but nobody saw the trouble. It didn't happen. Vashti got killed, and the party was over. Everybody went home. And years passed till they found the Queen Esther. It wasn't until 4 years later that queen becomes, and they said, hey, look, she's in the palace, she's okay. Queen Esther's there, and things looked fine. Until one day, Mordechai is sitting and listening by the gate, and he hears Bigtan and Teresh, they're starting to now make a plot to kill the king. If I was Mordechai, I'd say, kill him, and the guy's zero. Ahashverosh, he wants to kill Jews. But Mordechai said to himself, 1 second, I'm in the middle of learning. Why would Hashem want me to hear it? If God wanted them to die, so wanted the king to drink the poison, I'll be continuing, I wouldn't hear it, he would drink the poison and be gone. Must be, he wants me to do something. Sometimes you hear something, you have to react, you have to do something about it. So he told Queen Esther, she tells Ahashverosh, and his life is saved. Now the next day, does Mordechai get reward? Zero. Now, if I was Mordechai, when I see the king, I'll be a king. How's the drinks these days? How you doing? Maybe 20 million would be nice. Tzaddikim, they never look for reward in this world. They know that they do the right thing and they get out next. Sometimes in your own life, you do favors for people. You go out of your way. Ladies, don't you get ready for Pesach. You cook, you clean, and your kids don't do much. They run out. Say thank you to mommy. Okay, you have to educate them. But you know you're doing the right thing. When you know that you're doing the will of Hashem, you don't look for any thank you. You're doing something much greater than anybody could ever thank you. That's what Mordechai says, back to the Beit Midrash. It's good he didn't take his reward early. Hey, he needed it later on. And then the Megillah begins. Haman comes to power. Now the Jewish people are in big trouble. How many years later, after the story of Bigtan and Teresh, does Haman come to power? It's not for another 5 years. So nobody really makes the connection that Hashem is very upset at the Jews. He waited for them to do teshuvah 9 years, nothing happened. And Haman says, I'm going to kill every single Jew, man, woman, and child. That will be the end of them. Mordechai, lo yichra' velo yishtahadeh. He doesn't budge, doesn't bow, doesn't move. And you know what people told Mordechai? You better bow to him, because this guy's nuts. And if you don't bow, he's going to kill everybody. And Mordechai says, I will not bow. They said, hey, don't be such a wise guy. Don't you understand that, Mordechai, you're causing everybody to be in big, big danger. Sakanat nefashot. They thought he was erratic. Once again, he's going against the norm. Logic tells you to bow. Didn't Yaakov bow to Esav? It's at the end of the world. You see a minister, you bow. He said, no, this guy has avodah zarah on him. And Mordechai is not fazed. I don't listen, I won't bow. And sure enough, what happens? They come and they want to destroy every single Jew. And they look at Mordechai, it's your fault. When you look at the story of Purim in the Megillah, Rabbi Dessler, was a big rabbi, wrote Mechtav Melial. One of his Talmidim suffered a lot after the war. He lost his family and he was very sad. He said, I lost my faith in Hashem and rabbis and people. He said, look at the story of Purim. In the beginning, they thought that by going to the party, that will help them, that will save them, that will make them good connections really in Shamayim. From the view of the Shekhinah in the heavens, this was causing their destruction. Fast forward. Now, Haman commands Mordechai to bow. From the vantage point of people, it looked like Mordechai was doing something very not good and causing the death of all the people. You know what was happening in Shamayim? The Midrash brings down, Aliyah Navi runs to Moshe Rabbeinu. Wake up. Your children are about to become exterminated. There will be no more Jews left in the world. He said, it's sealed? Yeah, it's sealed. It's signed. They went to Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. What happened to them? No, they did sins. They're crying. Is there anything that we can do? Moshe Rabbeinu says, is there a tzaddik amongst them? Is there anyone righteous? Because I see they all bowed to the tzelem of Mordechai, of Haman. Now, a body is down on earth, but whatever you do here reflects upstairs. All of you are hardwired to the neshama that's in Shamayim. Whatever you do down here moves, ooh, tremendous. Every smile you give somebody, every time you restrain, you don't get upset. In Shamayim you make a very big rash. You study Torah, there's nothing higher in the world. All the mitzvot in the world don't equal the learning Torah with your chacham. Kiner mitzvah v'torah or, and those who support the Torah become super wealthy. We saw in the community where we live that people went out of their way to put their hand in their pocket and said, we want to help the Torah. These people suddenly became millionaires. They built shuls, they built yeshivot, and they continue to build. Because when you give to the Torah, you're giving to Hashem. Hashem is going to give you much more. You have to make that move. Torah study, there's nothing greater in the world. Kiner mitzvah, mitzvot are like lights. Imagine Friday night you light candles, beautiful. But what happens Sunday, Shabbat morning when the sun comes? The candles are nothing. The or of the Torah is Hashem Himself speaking to you. When you're praying, when you daven, tefillah, you're talking to Hashem. When you're learning Torah, Hashem is talking to you. You're saying, echoing the words of creation. How did Hashem create the world? Hashem created with words. Kihu amar vayehi. God spoke. What did He say? Amar stands for Esh, Mayim, Ruach. Those are the powers that He created the universe. When you speak, also your body has Esh. Vapor comes out of your mouth, Mayim. Yeah, touch it. You see it's wet. And Ruach. And the Afar is your mouth that articulates the world. You are echoing the creation. Ladies, when you send your husbands to learn, throw them out of the house. Go learn Torah. When you do that, wow, you're bringing Hashem, the Shekhinah, into your house. Any bigger beracha in the world than that? So Mordechai, he understands that when the Jews bowed in the Shamayim, they all bowed to Haman. You see, here's Haman, and here's all the Jews. The Klippa of Amalek is on top of them. There's no way out. Said Moshe Rabbeinu, is there anyone who didn't bow? Yeah, there's one. Mordechai, he's the only one who could save you. Lech kenose kol haYehudim, tzumu alai, Esther, teshuvah. She gets everybody, rallies everybody, and sure enough, they start a whole movement. Esther goes to the queen. Esther goes to Hashverosh. I want to speak to Haman. Come, boom. She exposes him, and the Jewish people are saved in a miraculous fashion in one day. And Mordechai didn't take his reward. Haman parades him on the horse. And you know that the story, when Haman is hanging on the gallows. Yesterday he was the biggest big shot. The next day, it's over. How come? because Mordechai didn't bow. Said Rabbi Dessler to his Talmud, what you think is killing you is really saving you. You see, the people in Purim, they thought that by Mordechai not bowing, this is going to kill us. That was the very thing that saved us. He said, look at the whole story. When you look at the whole Megillah, you see the biggest lesson of all. In the beginning of the party, what they thought was going to save them was the very thing that was killing them. What did they think was going to save them? We're going to go to the party, we're going to have connections. You see how your logic could sometimes ruin you? Too much believing in yourself will destroy your vantage point of Shamayim. Oh, if we go to this party, it will save us. That was the very thing that was killing them. And what they thought was killing them was saving them. What they thought was killing them by Mordechai not bowing, that's the very thing that saved them, by him not bowing. Said Rabbi Dessler, you know why on Purim, Hayav inish libasume v'puraya? That means you take a drink. Ade lo yada. That's not so normal. Ade lo yada. Jewish people, use your head. No. One day a year, give your mind to Hashem. Give it to Hashem. And that's called Akedat HaMochin. Take your mind. When you sometimes see October saying, wow, who can understand that? It's too big for us. Instead of questioning God, question your own thinking. Instead of saying Lama, say Ma. Adam Gimatria Ma Ani, Ma Hayai. What should I do about it? You become a better person, unite, have love for each other, and study the Torah. That's really what Hashem wants. So the job of Purim is to lift yourself up to a high level of faith, where you shut down this rational mind and you step up big. When you do that, you say to yourself, Hashem, you know what you're doing. Sometimes in your own life, we have worries, anxieties. How are we going to pay? How are we going to marry off the kids? How are we going to find shidduchim? Sometimes the doctor comes and gives a very dire prescription. There's a rule. Doctors only give prescriptions, not predictions. Don't listen. The mind of a person has to be stronger than the doctor. What is the doctor? Me? Nobody. Only Hashem. And od, and the rule is in life, nothing happens to you. Things only happen for you. You see the difference? If you think it happens to you, now you get frustrated. How are you going to be tranquil? You want to be tranquil. The sign that you're in the right road is you have shalva. But there's turbulent times outside. Sometimes there's stress. There's parnasa issues. There's goyim, anti-Semites, always on the news, something. How do you become tranquil? There's shalva. The answer is when you have strong emunah above logic, like the people who believe now in Mordechai and Esther and Purim. Now they said, wow, Hashem's the one who's doing it for us. Nothing happened to you. Hashem sent Haman for you, for us, to help us do teshuvah. You see the difference? Imagine one of you went to the dentist. And the dentist says, open your mouth. You're like, and they come now, and he yanks out a tooth. You're like, Doc, well, what was that for? No reason. I think you have nice teeth. I added to my collection. How mad would you be at that dentist? I'm going to call my lawyer. Guy yanks out my tooth. Shot. Now, he shows you the screen. He says, relax, I'm just kidding. Stir a little vodka. Calm down. Nothing big deal here happened. You know what happened? That tooth was infected. That's called a wisdom tooth, impacted. And now, I'm going to take out the tooth so you have no pain for the rest of the year. He shows you on the screen now. Your body's relaxed. Your jaws are good. What do you tell the dentist? Toda rabba lecha Hashem yitbarach. You even paid a guy $500. You know why? 1 second. 5 minutes ago, you wanted to kill him. 5 minutes later, Toda rabba. What? Did anything change in your tooth? Nothing changed. What changed? Your head changed. You see, the happiness is not outside. It's here. Right here. When your mind said, this is happening to me, it's random. Hey, relax, it's happening for me. For me? Take a deep breath, let go, and let God in. Let go of all your struggles and your control. Everyone's trying to control everything. You don't control anything. All that you control is your midot and your Torah learning. That's about it. And therefore, we let go, and we let Hashem in. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam she'hakol nהיה b'dvaro. With this idea, you're going to be able to apply it in your life. If you understand, everything happens for a reason, everything happens for a good reason, now you're stuck in traffic. Wow, I'm late. If it's happening to you, you're going to get nervous. You're going to get random and, how come this is happening? But who controls the world? Hashem. Could anybody make it rain tonight? Only Hashem. No sooner can you make it rain than can you make the traffic go. What are you honking for? Waste of time. When you're stuck somewhere, you just relax, put on a nice CD of the Chacham, listen to the Torah, and that's it. And you'll gain mitzvot every second. Watch the show. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. You see, that takes a time to reframe in the brain. When you understand it happens for you, become much more relaxed. Sometimes business, it didn't work out. The buyer is supposed to buy the merchandise, and now he canceled on me. If you have an attitude of gratitude, Toda Rabbah, I lost some money, 10,000. In Shamayim, it was written from Rosh Hashanah, you're going to lose 10. Better lose the 10 that I almost made than 10 from my pocket. And if it didn't work out, you say, Gamzu le tova, kapara, I got away cheap. Well, you don't have avonot, I have avonot. So Hashem took a few dollars. Instead of taking away my parnasah, he took away a little. He didn't take away my life. A man from the community, he went to Israel with his family. They had a beautiful time. Hizuk, tzedakah, they gave a lot. They went to rabbis, they went to kvarim. They all came back on a high to find their house was robbed. Everything was taken, the safe, the money, the jewelry, everything. They had cash, the cars. They came with nothing home. The man was so befuddled, how could it be? He went to the Chacham, the Mekubal told him, from Rosh Hashanah, there was a gezerah on you. There was a gezerah, he took his names, he said, however, since you prayed so hard at Eretz Israel, and you gave so much tzedakah, you revoked the gezerah, they took it out on your money. Money? What's money? Money comes back. You have insurance, you get a few cars back, and you'll be able to go home and make a seudah. He went home, and he made a big seudah for his family, and he started to sing with them. The kid's like, what are you singing, Daddy? We have nothing left. He says, we have everything. Money is going to come back. We'll make more money. Hashem took it out on the money instead of on me, instead of the kids. How many kids drive up and down the parkway? How many children, barmenan mahalot? How many troubles you see outside? How many hostages taken? So much trouble, and yet Hashem took a few dollars. His wife's like, what about my ring? I had a 2-carat ring. He goes, now we're going to give you a 3-carat. We're going to get even better. And he taught them, Od yoter tov, Od yoter tov. What are you getting down for? And a good mind, when you're happy in your head, you attract blessing. You know why Esther couldn't get Haman the first night? Why didn't she get him the first night? She had him at the party right there, Haman. You know why she couldn't get him? He was sameach v'tov lev. When you're in a high state of consciousness, you're simcha, nobody can get you. You're mohin de gadlut. Your brain is big. The next night, he was aver, hafoi rosh, his daughter threw it on him, she died. Oh, in a bad mood, now I got you. The Satan can't get you if you're singing and dancing and you're saying Todah to Hashem. 12 spies came to Eretz Israel and they saw exactly the same thing. 10 of them came back and said, we'll never make it. We can't get into this land. This is horrible. We're going to die. You know what happened to those 10? They didn't make it. They get in. It was horrible. They died. That's exactly what they spoke about, self-fulfilling negative prophecy. 2 spies said, we could get in. Do you remember the 2 spies? Who were they? Caleb ben Yefuneh and Yoshua ben Nun. What did they say? Of course we could get in. Hashem could do anything. Toba ha'aretz me'od mod. They got in. They saw exactly the same thing. Teaching us what you think about, you bring about. When you think negative, this can't be terrible. How can I make money? Horrible. It's terrible, horrible. You won't make money. But if you say it, Hashem is great. The world is open. So much beracha. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be successful with Hashem's help. We'll get into Eretz Yisrael. Hashem could do anything. That's high level emunah, bitachon. And you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk. To show you really believe, you give the tzedakot, you give the hesed, you do the right thing, and then your life becomes pleasant. Is there anyone who suffered more than Yosef HaTzadik? 17 years old. Taken by his own brothers. They were big chachamim, they weren't little people. Thrown into a pit, stripped of their clothing, sold as a slave, like Hamas. Terrible. And he was an orphan. He lost his mother when he was a little kid. The only thing he had was his father. Could you imagine the trauma in his head of the suffering and sold as a slave? Yet in Potiphar's house, what does the pasuk testify? Yosef haya ish matzliach. He was successful. Kol asher Yosef oseh, Hashem's matzliach biyado. I mean, how's matzliach? If you ask me, at the end of the story, when he became prime minister, hey, worth 100 billion, that's haslaha. The Torah's perspective is that's not haslaha, that's the gift of Hashem. What are you going to do with it? Haslaha is when you're under stress and you still say, Hashem, it's me'etcha, it's from you, it's not from me. Hashem, you put me over here for a reason, and he was in a good mood, he was singing. And then they took him, and now they tested him. Eshet Potiphar said, hey, you hang around me, I'll make you free. Didn't you have dreams you're going to be the prime minister, the king? This is your chance. Has v'shalom. He said, Vayima'en. Yosef was strong. He held on to Hashem. And you think the next day you go home like a prince. Next day gets worse. What happened after that? He ended up in jail. They put him in a pit, and now worse. What does the Pasuk say? Once again, he's interpreting dreams, he's whistling, he's smiling, he's having a great time. I mean, what is his secret? How does he do it? And I heard from Rabbi Wawa Jacobson, he said something very nice. That when you look at when the brothers came, and Yosef HaSadiq says, Ani Yosef, the brothers like, oh, they were shocked. Now listen to the words Yosef says. He says, don't feel bad. Don't be worried. Why? Ki Hashem shilahani. Lo atem, it wasn't you, mechartem oti, sold me. But God sent me here on a mission. You see, in the beginning, the brothers thought he was sold. You see, if Yosef would have went with the attitude, I was sold, then it happened to me. Sold is random. He reframes. He says, it's not sold. I was sent. If you look at the next three Pesukim, Ki lemechia shilahani, Hashem shilahtani, no more mechira. It says, I was sent. The difference between sold and sent is the difference between happening to you or for you. If it happened to you, I was sold random down the river. Here, this is sold. But I was sent on a mission. I'm an agent of Hashem. Hashem sent me here to Mitzrayim. You see how he's thinking? The change is not outside. When you're struggling, the change is inside. It's the perspective. If you change the way you think, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. When you change the way you look at it, it didn't happen to me. Yosef said it happened for me. I'm here. Hashem shalachta oti. And wasn't that true? Why did God send him there? To plant the seeds of faith, emunah. Because Yosef was moral and proper and kadosh, all the Jews in Mitzrayim, 210 years, separated from the assimilation. They didn't intermarry. They stayed kadosh. How is it possible? All the women were pure. Except for one incident, every woman was not violated. 210 years slaves because of Yosef. So when they crossed the ocean, the pasuk says, Hayam ra'a vayanos. The ocean saw Yosef's coffin because it's a play on words. It says vayanos vayetza hachutza. They saw him, vayanos. The ocean split. Now you're going to tell me I was sold? Because of Yosef, 3 million people crossed the ocean. We're alive because of him. So therefore, he understood the secret that in life, nothing happens to you, it happens for you. And because I was sent on a mission, he kept himself the whole time happy in a good mood. And you know what happens when you're in a good mood? You attract more blessing to you. Because what you think about, you bring about. If Paro would have seen Yosef grumpy and negative, he has enough grumpy people around him. He doesn't need another one. He sees Yosef happy, smiling, giving credit. Lo ani, I can't interpret dreams, Hashem. He's very wonderful, Yosef, and very caring and giving and nice. Paro says, I like you. I'm going to make you prime minister. You see how beracha comes to you? When you're in a good mood, but when you're sour, when you're grumpy, when you're negative, this is the Yetzer Hara. The sign that you're growing properly is you have simcha inside without extra. The outside, it doesn't do nothing. One of the students at the school, he was upset. I said, why are you upset? He goes, well, you know, Joe, my friend, he got a new car. He got new sneakers. He's going to the basketball game. Me, ma'ani, I got nothing. My father just came from Halab. We have a penny in the pocket. We live in an apartment. I'll never have. How am I going to be happy? So I told the boy, come here. I can make you happy in 30 seconds. He goes, Rabbi, you can make me happy? How? I started to tickle him. I tickle him. He's jumping up and down, laughing. I said, hey, video, look how happy he is. Put it on Instagram. Like, the guy's dancing. He said, Rabbi, but as soon as you stop tickling me, now the happiness went away. I said, and as soon as he finishes with his car, 2 days, 3 days, the happiness also goes. And the game and the sneakers, all the external is just a tickle. It does a few days and then it's gone. It's not the real thing. The real thing is Pegudei Hashem Yisharim V'samchei Lev. When you learn Torah and you learn properly and you overcome the Yetzer Hara, you don't get angry. Want to try that? You stay calm. No matter what, you don't raise your voice. Hillel Torahs, be patient. Don't get upset. It's a siman you're holding. You have Yirat Shamayim and you have Hashem with you. Guy provokes you, guy upsets you, guy says nobody could do nothing to you. That's the real test. The real test is when people upset you, say, they're nobody, it's only Hashem. If it's only Hashem, Hashem shows you I'm here. But if you get upset at people and you're angry and you scream, Lashon Hara, then you degrade everybody around you. There was a woman who grew up not far from here, and unfortunately she couldn't find a shidduch, 25, 30, 35. Her mother's like, please, marry anybody, just get married. And nothing was working. 37 years old, Shema Yisrael. Finally, there was a guy who came from Brazil. Nice fellow, South American. They weren't too religious. She wasn't either. And they dated. It looked like it was going good, but there's some complications by the engagement, where they're going to live, if they're going to go back to Brazil. I'm not living in South America, back and forth. Some not nice character traits came out. And 2 days before the wedding, he came to the house, he gave back all the presents, said goodbye. And she was like, wow. She had a gown ready, all her friends, imagine 37 years old, invitation, busha, she was embarrassed. She didn't want to come out of the house for a week. And they broke the engagement. After that, she goes back to work in her office. She worked in Manhattan. And the boss tells her, I have to tell you, let's say her name was Lisa, come. There's a new company that bought over our business, and the position that you're at, they already have somebody fulfilled. So we're going to give you 3 more weeks and a few dollars to find another job. Basically, they fire her. Now she comes home, she's fired. A few days later, she has pains in her back. She's aching. Her friend said, go to the chiropractor, see how your back is. After that, the chiropractor said, this is nothing in the back. You need to go to a doctor. They took her blood. And the doctor looked at the results, and he called her down. He said, you have to go to Sloan Kettering. They diagnosed her with a leukemia. Now she's sad, she cries, she comes to her rabbi. She said, Rabbi, Hashem buried me today. What do I need to live for? The hatan I was going to marry, my job, my health, all gone. Do I have what to live for? She was very sad and she was very down. And she said, why doesn't Hashem just bury? Rabbi, bury me today. I'm over my life. The rabbi was chacham. He said, Lisa, I understand you're upset. No, please, come outside. He shows her outside the earth. In the ground, there was a rock. He takes the rock and he puts it deep in the ground. He said, you see this rock? This rock is buried in the earth. Please don't say you're buried. You're not a rock. It's not random what's happening to you. What's happening is something for you. He took a pit of a peach. He said, you see this peach pit? I put it in the ground. Do you call it buried? Let's reframe from buried to planted. Let's change it. You can't change the thing that happened, but you could change the way you look at it. You know, when you have a picture that's not so pretty, but your grandmother gave it to you. Now she's coming to the house. You better put up that picture. The thing's as ugly as sin. You don't want to up there. But grandma wants to see it. Okay, let's put a new frame around it. Now lighting will darken a little, accentuate. Hey, not bad. It looks pretty. So in the psychology world, when you have a problem, you cannot change outside of you anything. Could anybody change anybody? You can't change anybody. My wife's trying for a long time. It doesn't work. You can't change anyone. The only one you could change is the way you think. Inside, what comes from you, that's in your control. Outside of you is not in your control. So the way to do it is to change what's outside. And from inside, he said to her, don't say you're buried. Say you're planted. It's the same idea, but planted means there's a purpose. It's happening for you. So at first she didn't understand it because it was too painful. But the next day she posted on her status, I'm done being buried, I am planted. And she made a picture of her like a tree. I won't go through life, I will grow through life. She had to go for treatments. And because she had a good attitude, she was laughing, smiling. The doctors in Duke University said those who smile when they come in, they dance their way out. Ki b'simcha teitzeu. When you b'simcha, all the problems go away. The problems can't handle it because your moach is gadol. It's great, so the problems run. But when you're going depressed and sad, the mahala takes a person. Pasuk says that ruach ish yichalkel mahala. If you have a good spirit, you laugh it off. It's nothing. What doctor can't give me nothing. Hashem is the one who heals me. I'm going to be healed tomorrow. During COVID, we saw people with good attitude jumping up and down. The other ones depressed, sad, we're going to die. Horrible. So she had a very good attitude in her mind. And she said, I'm going to start taking Torah classes. Anyways, I'm not working. So her friends bought different speakers to come to her house. And the treatments took very well. And she was able to be strong. As the Pasuk says, that herdat adam yiten mokesh. When you're very fear of the sickness, you fall. The fear itself kills. But boteach b'Hashem yisugav. Somebody who has bitachon, he excels. And she worked on emunah bitachon the whole year. She took classes, Rabbi Asher, you know the Living Emunah book, Living Emunah. She learned every day with friends. And she would have classes on like FaceTime and Zoom, different ways before COVID came. She was able to go and heal very well. After a year and a half, the doctors told her, you're fine. She started to get much better. But because she learned for that year, when COVID hit, she knew how to put on Zoom all the speakers. She was one very involved. She was helping everybody. And a young man was very enthralled by her. He goes, who's this girl? She helps everybody. She has a good attitude. She's very pleasant. She's becoming religious. And he dated her. And eventually, he got engaged to her. And a few months later, they got married. And he was a very rich guy. So she didn't have to go back to work. She didn't have to work. Now she got the credit card. Saks with him to go shopping. And she came back to the rabbi. And she said, Rabbi, look how true the mindset turned. A year ago, I had sickness. I had broken engagement. I had no job. A year later, 2 years later was, now, biracha, I got a much better guy. The first guy was 0. I would have been in Brazil, who knows, speaking Spanioli. He goes, now, we live over here with the people in the shul, Bet Knesset, community, learning Torah. And not only that, I don't have to go work in Manhattan every day. He gives me a nice parnasah. I got a much better guy, but more than anything, I found Hashem. So this sickness didn't happen to me, it happened for me. You see how she reframed in her brain, and it came true, because what you think about, you bring about. When the rabbi told her that advice, she understood it. She said, and if she would have been grumpy and crying and complaining, she probably wouldn't be alive. But because she changed her way of thinking, she said, this happened for me, and you know what she said afterwards? If I had to do it again, I would do it all again. I would do it over again, and I would accept everything this time, ba'ahava. Because look how I found HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my life. Well, you don't have to go through sickness and getting fired and broken engagements if you find Hashem before that happens, before all the headaches. That means when you go home tonight and you eat, say Todah, then you could eat. I have a friend of mine, I went to visit him. And he was a yeshiva, tall, strong, big guy, happy guy. And recently got diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, where everything started to shut down, all his muscles. His mind says, pick up the cup of water, but nothing's connected. You see how Moshe makes miracles for you? Rofech ol basar umafli la'asot. What's mafli? In my mind, I'm thinking I'm thirsty. What do I do here? 2 seconds, drink. By him, his mind is screaming, nothing moves. You have to appreciate. When I saw that, Hazin, now you know what he does all day? They made a computer with his eyes, and he touches it. He tells me, Moshe, how are you? He's talking to me through his eyes like this, looking. And he decided, if I'm here, I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to learn. He's a very smart guy. And he started learning. He had computers, Svarim. He has Chavrusas all day. Learning. He finished Mesechtes now. And every Friday he writes Chidushay Torah. Types it out, takes up a few hours. Rabbi Yaburdi goes to the house, they make a vad. And you see the email. It's Chidushim. Chidushim that come out of him. He's sitting there like this. And I said, wow, you walk out of the house, you could talk, you could move, you know how rich you are that you can move your body? No reason to complain. You're so happy that you have biracha, you have good health. The food goes down your throat. Not everybody can. There was an old man in our synagogue that he started to eat, and after a while the food kept falling out. The doctors couldn't figure it out till they realized that he had dementia in his brain and he forgot how to swallow. I don't think in my life I ever thought, thank you Hashem, that it goes down, that you have to think to swallow automatically. But once he forgot, as a child, as a baby, Hashem downloads to swallow. He passed away, couldn't eat anymore. So you thank Hashem that the food goes down. You thank Hashem you could move. You could say Todah all day long. You make a list of 100 things. And when you say thank you, you know what Hashem does? He gives you more reasons to thank. But when you complain, you get more reasons to complain. So therefore, no complaining. Complaining is not good. A little, but once you're a chronic complainer, constantly criticizing, it's no good. And therefore Hashem wants you to be in a good mood, a good state of mind. And I'll end with one story left to show you how if you think healthy and positive, you'll have a beautiful life. In Israel, there's a group of boys who live in Yerushalayim, but they visit their parents in Bnei Brak. You've been to Israel, you've seen how Eretz Israel has Yerushalayim, and maybe an hour away, the bus is Tachana Merkazit from Yerushalayim, goes to Bnei Brak. Every day, Friday, on the hour, there's a bus 9, 10, 11, 12, Avrechim, Kolel, with their wives. They want to visit their parents in Bnei Brak. This particular Shabbat, they come to the bus stop 3 o'clock to get the last bus. Shabbat's 4:45. So they're waiting. Usually Egged bus is very punctual. This particular Shabbat, it's 3:05, no bus, 3:10, 3:50, 3:20. They're calling Egged, where's the bus? Nobody answers. Now they're getting nervous. Taxis, they can't afford the Uber, it's too expensive. Food, they don't have at home. They're very uptight. Don't start with Israelis, when they're uptight. Now it's 3:30 already, and suddenly the bus pulls up. They look at the bus, he opens the door, and he says, anybody going to Ashdod? They're like, huh? Ashdod? Ma fi hada. You know what that means? There's not one person going to Ashdod. They tell him, buddy, we're going to Bnei Brak. I think you got the wrong side. He goes, Al tagilli. He says, could you take us to Bnei Brak? We're 50 people. Ma'ani monit. Now he's getting hot, the guy. I'm not a monit. I'm not taking you to Bnei Brak. They tell Habib, there's nothing here. Lady, she came on the plate, on the bus, with potato kugel, all the mazeh, all the food, delicious, nice things. She goes, here for you, Moti. She read Moti. Moti looks, hey, maybe. Now a guy starts to give him shkalim. He goes, okay, Rega, let me call the central bus station. Starts talking a million miles an hour in Israeli. Suddenly, 3 minutes later, he opens the door and he says, guys, you're all going to Bnei Brak. They jump on the bus. Mazal tov, simman tov, mabruk aleina, isma' al-uz. They're jumping up and down. Bisimcha rabba, the whole ride. They're looking at their watch. Let's go, Mati. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Finally, he pulls up at 4:30, 50 minutes. They hug him. They kiss him. Thank you. They're all giving him tips. He gets them all safely to Bnei Brak. As the last guy gets off the bus, he tells him, Mati, can I ask you a question? How in the world did you change from Bnei Brak, from Ashdod, if that's your route? How'd you go to Bnei Brak? Everybody knows it's all computerized, systemized. You have to pick up people on the way. You can't change. He said, looks around, everybody off the bus. Tavo, I tell you my secret. He tells him, last night my son got married. It was 2:30 in the morning. We came home so tired. I'm exhausted. Today, I have the route at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, you know what? Let me close my eyes for 20 minutes. I closed my eyes for 20 minutes. I woke up. It was 3:30. I realized, Shemai said, they're going to stone me. They're going to kill me. So I went up to the top. I changed the bus. I made believe that I'm going to Ashdod. Now they were crying. They were begging. They were pleading. They were giving me tips. I said, you know what? Okay, I'll take you to Bnei Brak. He goes, I'm really the driver to Bnei Brak. Now, that's the story. True story. Rabbi brought it down. He said, how come? Let's analyze the story. What would have happened? I want you to picture in your brain. The boys are waiting for 30 minutes. The bus pulls up Bnei Brak. Doesn't say anything about Ashdod. What's the attitude of the people on the bus? As they walk on, you know the lady with the kugel? Right in his face. No one's giving him a tip. They're angry. They're, Shabbat, Rasha. You're going to cause us chilul Shabbat. No, aren't they made the whole trip? I think they would be. Until they get to Bnei Brak. Hurry up, 4:30, chilul Shabbat. It's on your head. Hiloni. They'll go crazy. 1 second. What happened that everybody was in a good mood? Everybody's singing on the bus. Everyone's dancing. Everyone's giving them tips. Did anything change between 3:30 and 4:30? I'll tell you the secret. If you understand the secret of life, you take the bus now for the rest of your life in a good state of mind. You ready for it? In the first instance, as the bus pulled up, there's a sense of entitlement. You walk on the bus, I'm expecting the bus at 3 o'clock. By 3:10 already, you start to get hot. You see, you have expectation, and you're entitled, and now, by 3:20, the ego kicks in. Expecting, entitled ego, because this is happening to me. This is random. This is crazy. Who's running the world like this? This is crazy to bus people. So you see how you're angry? You're in a bad mood? When you're ego, and you're expectant, and you're entitled, you have a miserable ride the rest of your life. Look at the second scenario. As the bus pulled up 3:30, the guy said, Ashdod, meaning, I'm the last bus in the station. And I'm going to Ashdod, and you guys got nothing. You got zero. Zero expectation, zero entitlement, and zero ego. They have no food. They're very humble. As soon as the guy said, you're coming on the bus to Bnei Brak, what was in their heart? What was in their mind? Todah, gratitude, thank you, you're the best. Mafi mitlak, Todah Rabbah, Hashem yarich yamecha. I can't believe this is happening to me. This is great. What a beracha. You see how they're thanking the whole ride? When your mind is grateful, the whole ride is happy. The secret to life, Rabbi Avigdor Miller used to teach his students, is a formula. Everything has a formula. What's H2O? It's water. You know what the formula for happiness is? PG equals H. P means you're positive. Nothing happens to you. Things only happen for you. You see that? You're positive, not negative. Negative, Hashem is doing it bad. Positive, Hashem does everything letovah. Is there anything that's not letovah? Hatov shivcha l'chon asim shalom tovah. You say tovah 100 times the whole day. Gam zul letovah. You have to think healthy. Positive. Hashem does this for me. Once Hashem does this for me, thank you. Hey, he's doing you a favor. No matter if it looks good or not, you have to be like Mordechai and the Jews. Hashem knows better. So if it happened for me, we say Todah. If you're grateful, P means you're positive. G, you're grateful. PG equals H. What's H? Happiness. You don't have to find it outside. So let's review what we learned today. We started with Bayamim Ahem Keshevet HaMelech HaHashverosh. It looked very bad. The Jews are in trouble. Hashem said, I'm doing this for you. So you should do teshuvah. Yeah, but it looks horrible, Mordechai. Why shouldn't we go to the party? Why aren't you bowing? What they thought was killing them was saving them. What they thought was saving them in the beginning was killing them. Hayav inish lepsume adelo yada. You're better off taking a drink on Purim. Tie up your head and make the leap of faith. Purim is a very, very holy day. You could pray with your heart and soul. It's Kippurim. It's bigger than Kippur. Kippur is Yir'ah. Purim is Ahava. So you come early to the Beit Knesset. You learn a little before davening. You purify yourself and you have great feeling of Hesed. If somebody puts out the hand, you give him no matter what. Because in Shamayim, they're going to give you even if you don't deserve. That's a reflection of what you're doing. When you believe that it's good, good happens. Haman thought he was good. I said, I can't get him. When she knocked him down, he was depressed. Whoa, she got him. And therefore in life, remember the lesson. When you understand that everything's for the good, what you think about, you bring about. Remember Yosef HaSaddiq. What did he say? I wasn't sold, I was sent on a mission. Wow, sent this for me. He was happy. He was singing. He was matzliach. The definition of success is when things are rough and you're still thanking Hashem. Take your stress and turn it into success. Because what's in your way is your way. Well, it looked very difficult for him. What's in my way? Look at this hard person I have to deal with. No, that's your way to grow. Nothing is by mistake. Hashem overcomes it. Well, it looked very bad for that girl. Looked like she was buried. That was in her way. It was her way to grow. She got a better husband. She said, I'm planted. And because she thought like that, Hashem brought her the blessing. And remember now that you're going to take the bus ride of your life. If your attitude is, hey, I'm entitled, I have ego, where are these people, who they think they are, and you have anger in you and resentment, you'll be miserable the rest of your life. But if you go ahead and you say, Todah la Hashem, and you're positive and you're grateful, you'll have an attitude of gratitude. And with that, you'll keep your strength in Hashem strong. And you'll have very solid emunah. How do you say emunah in English? Faith. How do you spell faith? F-A-I-T-H. You know what that stands for? Forward all issues to Hashem. Happy Purim.